So Battlefield 6 has finally dropped the Nightfall update. This is the second update here in Season 2, and I was playing on it for quite a bit yesterday to just kind of gather my thoughts on if it's any better. There's not only been some new content, but there's also been some gameplay adjustments like hit registration and netcode, as well as just some weapon balancing, audio fixes, things like that. So obviously for today's video here, there is going to be a bit to cover. As expected as well, the reaction to some of the new content has been pretty mixed from the overall community, so I just kind of wanted to talk about all of this here in today's video. But before we do that, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications set to all so you can stay up to date with all of the content here on the channel, and let's just dive right on into it. So the first thing here, which is I guess you could say the highlight of this new update, and that is Hagen Base, the brand new map that has been introduced here in Battlefield 6. Now Hagen Base is what I would say is definitely a smaller map. This map is 100% made for people who like infantry gameplay here in Battlefield 6. If you're a fan of vehicle gameplay, you're gonna hate this map because there are no vehicles on it, so there's no jeeps, there's no bikes, there's no helicopters, there's no jets, none of that stuff. This map is purely an underground kind of zone. It is more in line with what I would say Battlefield 6's take on Operation Metro and Locker, so obviously this is not gonna be a sort of map like the one that we got at the beginning of Season 2, which was obviously contaminated. The map itself is relatively complex in that there's a lot of flanking routes and there's a lot of just kind of areas that you can relatively hide out in. Now, this has kind of drawn some criticism from the community. I feel like this has been one of the more kind of divided opinions in terms of a new map here in Battlefield 6, because when we had some of the other maps, it was kind of clear like a majority opinion was swayed one way or the other. Like most people liked Contaminated, most people hated Blackwell Fields, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to Hagen Base, it feels like there are just kind of some mixed reactions here. Some people really like it. They think that it does feel a lot like Operation Metro, Locker, that kind of a thing. Some people are just more fans of this sort of meat grinder infantry type gameplay, and then on the other hand, you have people that are really irritated by this map because it's just a lot more focused on infantry, and the fact that at this point in the game we haven't had any actual large maps, that's kind of giving people sort of a bitter feeling when it comes to this map. But not only that, one of the biggest criticisms I've seen for Hagen Base, which I kind of agree with in a way, is because there's so many flanking routes on this map, it's almost like you don't really have much time to think. You are very much just kind of in the line of fire at any angle, no matter where you're standing, and that makes it so that you will not really be as long-term on the ground as you would on some of the other maps. Also, because there's so many just spots where you could really hide easily in, it just makes visibility a little bit more complicated. So I feel like there are some valid criticisms here for the map. I don't hate it particularly. I don't think it's the worst map introduced in the game so far. And because there's no vehicles though, this map doesn't really feel like being an engineer is as important. You just kind of are either assault or support. I have seen some people say it's really good for sniping. I don't really know. I haven't tried that, but it just kind of feels like the engineer class is almost kind of stunted here on this map. I just don't really feel like it's as effective as some of the other classes. Of course, I guess if you are just using the RPG the whole time, you might have some benefit to being an engineer here. Now the problem is, if this map had, in my opinion, released alongside a much larger map, then I don't think people would be as irritated about it as they are right now. But because we've gotten so many medium and small maps in Battlefield 6 so far, and it's very just like infantry focused, most people don't really use vehicles as much as maybe in some previous Battlefield titles. So I just feel like the timing is really off for this map, and I just feel like there are some design flaws in it that do kind of make the gameplay not as fun as I personally was hoping. So I kind of want to talk about here for a minute the Nightfall playlist, because this for me is still the most kind of disappointing part of this Season 2 update here, because one of the things that I have said on this channel here is that I feel like it doesn't make any sense that this is so limited in the way that it is, because the actual concept itself could have been really fun on multiple other maps in larger game modes, and instead what we got here in the Season 2 Nightfall update is that Nightfall itself is only on Hagen Base, and it's only in CQB modes, which are like squad deathmatch, team deathmatch, and then domination. So only 3 CQB modes. So basically the way that the CQB modes on Nightfall here work is that it is in Hagen Base. Of course, it's not the whole map. They cut a piece of it for this kind of gameplay, but it's small and it's very much one of the more unenjoyable CQB experiences I've had here in Battlefield 6. The map is just not that great the way they've designed it here because, for instance, something that happened in my gameplay yesterday was that I was spawning in a spot and there was somebody just camped in front of the spot, kind of off to the left of where I was. So every time I spawned, I wouldn't even get a chance to move. I was just spawning and then immediately I would have to respawn. It was a very irritating experience, and I think because the way the map is set up, it's just like that. And another thing here, in some of the other CQB modes here in Battlefield 6, the maps tend to be a little bit more structured better. Basically, in this version of the Hagen Base map, there are specific points where basically people can just camp the entire time, and for some reason the spawns are completely busted. So there's no way for you to actually move at all, pretty much. It's been really not the most fun experience. So in terms of the NVGs, I think it's a much better concept than the gas stuff we had in the VL7 strike mode, but because it's only on this one map, and also the NVGs are limited, so it's not like you actually have full night vision gameplay the whole time, I just feel like it was such a wasted opportunity because this could have been really fun on a more open map, on Conquest, on Breakthrough, anything. I really don't know why things just kind of keep getting fumbled in a way here in Battlefield 6. I feel like the content concepts are really decent, but then in application things just aren't really that exciting. I mean, for instance, with the VL7 strike mode, you're only playing on one map. Why not more than one map? Why not maybe take the larger maps in the game like Maroc Valley and include them in a playlist with Contaminated and actually add the VL7 strike stuff to all of them and make it so that maybe the whole map gets blanketed at some point instead of sections of the map being blanketed the entire time. The same thing here with the Nightfall stuff. Why not add this to maybe Siege of Cairo and let's say Iberian Offensive and maybe another map or something, and just include that with Hagen Base in a playlist and include it for Conquest, Breakthrough, larger scale modes. I feel like that would have been so much more fun, but right now I don't really feel like playing much on the Nightfall stuff because it's only on TDM, Squad Deathmatch, and Domination, and I don't really want to play those every time I open Battlefield 6. For me, I want to play on Conquest, I want to play Breakthrough. That's what I play Battlefield for. I will say that I didn't really notice that the game performed better or worse than before the update, so I did kind of feel audio was clearer this time. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but I am on the War Tapes VAL audio mode, so I don't know personally what other audio modes are like, but for the most part, I feel like those kinds of things were okay. There were some changes made like the portable mortars, but I didn't really notice that because I was just mostly playing on Hagen Base. I don't know if mortars are even available on that, I didn't even check, but the new cosmetics are pretty solid. I would say they're more obviously night themed, so they're all kind of dark camo and things like that. They added a new squad, which is the Strix Raider squad. I think it's on NATO. You do have to buy it in the store though if you want access to it right away, but I'm assuming though in the next season they're going to create variants for them in the battle pass. That's what they did in the 323 bundle from Season 1. In Season 2, there were skins for them in the Battle Pass, so it's possible that they're going to do that. It's not necessarily the case, but I would say more likely that's what's going to happen. But anyways, that's kind of my thoughts here on the Nightfall update in Season 2. There's some good things to it. There are some mediocre things. I wouldn't say it's a terrible update. It's definitely irritating that this is the second and last map of Season 2, and we're not going to get any more maps until Season 3, so a whole other content cycle coming up and no new maps before Season 3. Just very irritating. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, how you're feeling about the Nightfall update, if you like it, if you didn't like it, why or why not. Leave a like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications set to all so you can stay up to date with all of the content here on the channel. And that's all for today, folks.